Hey everybody, welcome back. It's another episode of Jake Talks Star Wars. Today, we are going to go into another couple episodes of Star Wars Rebels. Today, we're covering Seasons 1, Episodes 8 and 9 of Star Wars Rebels. Episode 8 is called Empire Day. Episode 9 is called Gathering Forces. So we've got two episodes back to back we're covering. And the reason for that is because I think these two episodes kind of click together really well. So let's dive into it. This is about getting close to the halfway point for season 1 of Star Wars Rebels. I think season 1 has 20 or 22 episodes. So this is getting close to the halfway point, and we're starting to see the stakes kind of come up a little bit higher. The main action we see in this episode, the introduction to this episode, is the fact that, we got the crew back on Lothal, and it's Empire Day. That's something we don't think about very often. And that's something I really love about this series, about the Rebels series. We get a peek at what life is like on these planets that are occupied and part of the Empire. We get a peek at what daily life is like. We get a peek at what normal life is like in these sorts of planets. In the movies, we get one little tiny peek into regular everyday life, and that's on Tatooine, which is an outer rim planet that is nominally under the control of the Empire. And we see family dinner and lunch and breakfast at a moisture farm out in the middle of nowhere. So that's not really indicative of like regular everyday life in the galaxy. Whereas with this episode, with this series, we are repeatedly seeing what life is like for regular everyday people in small to medium-sized towns on small to medium-sized planets that are, not hugely influential planets, but still pretty sizable planets in and of themselves that serve a really important purpose for the Empire. We're going to learn about that. So we get to see a little bit of that everyday life. And we're introduced to, Empire Day. It's the 15th anniversary of the Empire. So this is a big deal for Ezra because it's also his birthday, right? He's born on the day that the Empire rose. So he's born on the day of Order 66. He's born on the day of the Empire rising up out of the Republic. So this is a big deal for Ezra. It's a tough thing for Ezra. But I think it's interesting because we're kind of immediately thrust into something is going on the planet. The crew is just kind of hanging out. They see this trio of TIE fighters fly low overhead, and the TIE fighters land and immediately go into the bar. They go into this bar, this establishment that the crew kind of hangs in regularly. And you've got TIE pilots running around inside this bar acting like troopers, acting like detectives or something. They're looking for somebody. They're looking for a Rodian. We're not sure why yet, but they're basically harassing and haranguing every Rodian they see, making sure he's not the one, right? Remember, Rodians are those guys, the green guys that look like Greedo from New Hope. But yeah, they're looking for a Rodian, and they're basically haranguing every Rodian they see. And they're also kind of just haranguing the people in the bar and the bartender. The bartender is not playing the news, right? The pilot says, "Hey, you're supposed to be playing the Imperial HoloNet news. It's the law. You're supposed to be playing that at all times." And the bartender's like, "Hey, nobody wants to see it." He goes, "I don't care. It's the law." So he flips it on, and you've got the HoloNet news start playing, and it's talking about Empire Day. It's talking about all the Empire Day celebrations on Lothal, but then it gets broken into by a supposed senator in exile. The stream is hacked by this supposed senator in exile who's telling people to boycott Empire Day celebrations and that they should be against the Empire and all this stuff, which of course causes the pilot to say, hey, turn that off. And bartender says, well, I can't. It's the law, right? Has to be on. So, and that's another nice little thing. You see these tiny little bits and pieces and pockets of resistance by normal people throughout the series as well. That's something Star Wars has done really well in the canon, showing how normal everyday people will resist the Empire, and also showing how other people with more power or more ability resist the Empire. So we see a little piece of that where the bartender resists in his own way of going, hey, you said I had to have it on. It said it's the law. So it's on. It's the law. So that's neat. But this kind of gets everybody's hackles up, but they're already planning something. They're already planning something for that evening where they are going to make a splash at the Empire Day Parade, the Empire Day celebration. We fast forward to that night, and they are unveiling the minister, not even the governor, right? The governor's off planet with, rubbing shoulders with Palpatine, supposedly. So the minister and the Imperial, like they're so fantastically evil. I don't know if you guys have watched this. The Imperial guys kind of in charge of this area of Lothal, the Imperial officers, they're so fantastically evil, right? You've got the one that's like tall and spindly and really pale looking, and the other that's like really kind of beefy and like the lackey, the muscly lackey, and they're just they ooze evil, but they also ooze like this brand of evil that's like just cruel for the sake of cruelty, but also incompetent. Like they're not very good at this, and they rely on the cruelty to mask their incompetence, right? So you see them kind of interacting with the minister. Callus is around. The Inquisitor is hanging around, right? The Grand Inquisitor is kind of hanging around, kind of lurking like he does. But in this parade, we hear the Imperial March. Like in Galaxy, we hear the Imperial March, except we hear it like in like a peppy tone. We're used to hearing it as like this super ominous, bum, 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 right? The super ominous kind of slow march. And in the parade, it's in a major, right? It's like, or I'm not sure my music vernacular, but it's more peppy, it's faster, and it's more uplifting, or sounds more uplifting. You've got this parade, and the people are kind of cheering. They kind of have to be forced to cheer a couple times by these Imperial lackeys, and they unveil the TIE Advanced Starfighter that has been developed by Cyanar on the planet of Lothal, or has been developed by Cyanar and is going to be manufactured on the planet of Lothal, which is something neat, which is something we're going to see kind of over and over again. We're going to see that Lothal becomes this manufacturing center. Like the people of Lothal, they have factories. Apparently they're good at it. Apparently they're good at making starfighters, because they're going to make the TIE Advanced Starfighter. Later, they're going to make the TIE Defender, right? Apparently, they're good at making starfighters. They're good at making other stuff. So that's kind of the reason for the Empire's interest in the planet, I think. And fast forwarding to the Ahsoka series, when we're on Lothal, we see an E-Wing on Lothal. We see a New Republic E-Wing, which is the only place we've seen E-Wings so far in the canon. And my personal theory is that Lothal designs and builds starfighters. So once the rebellion kind of liberated Lothal, I think that they took some X-Wings that had crashed or were gifted or whatever, and I think they developed those backwards, developed them into E-Wings. So I think E-Wings are maybe a locally grown starfighter for Lothal that we get to see in the Ahsoka series, but I don't know that for sure. I just think it's a fun thing to think. But anyway, so we got this TIE Advanced Starfighter. Kanan's going to blow it up. Sabine's going to blow it up. So they destroy the TIE. That gets the Inquisitor's attention, obviously, and now we're off to the races. We're trying to escape. were trying to escape. But as they escape, they end up going to Ezra's home, like Ezra's old home. And we learn more about Ezra's family. We learned that they were resisting the Empire in the early days. They were sharing information, they were broadcasting anti-imperial messaging, and we learned that they were kidnapped and taken away by the Empire, leaving behind Ezra. Ezra is 7 years old, right? He's left behind as an orphan to kind of survive on his own. And we learn who the Rodian is. The Rodian is a guy named Sibo. And Sibo was a friend of the Bridger family. He was supposed to look after Ezra. He was supposed to take care of Ezra, but he ends up doing other things. And we eventually learn that he ends up joining up with the Empire and volunteers for these I forget what they're called, these enhancements, these digital enhancements on his brain, kind of like what we see in New Hope. I think it's Lebo. We see in New Hope, where you get these digital enhancements that make you more intelligent, that make you like a walking, talking computer. But Sibo has downloaded so much knowledge that it's kind of fried his brain. It's kind of rattled his brain. So he's having trouble carrying all this data while at the same time having his personality and having his own memories. So he's having difficulty, but he starts to recognize Ezra, and Ezra, of course, recognizes him. And we learn that the reason they're after Sibo is because Sibo has downloaded a whole mess of Imperial secrets. I mean, schematics for starfighters, for TIE bombers, for TIE interceptors, for different types of weapons, all these things that are going to be really valuable intelligence for the Rebel Alliance, or for the fledgling Rebel Alliance, valuable intelligence for the rebels, I should say. So they are going to rescue Sibo, and they're going to get Sibo off the planet. As they get him off the planet, they are flying away in the Ghost, and they are going to be chased by the Inquisitor. The Inquisitor is flying off after them in this TIE, in his own TIE advanced fighter. He's flying off after them in his advanced TIE fighter, and that leads us directly into Season 1, Episode 9, Gathering Forces, right? These two episodes were kind of a two-parter. So talking about Season 1, Episode 9 now, we kind of pick up right where we left off. The Empire is hot on their trail. The rebels are trying to get away. Before they get away, the Inquisitor is able to put a little tracking device on their ship. Kanan figures, as they jump to hyperspace, they figure this out, and Kanan comes up with a plan. He and Ezra have to confront the Inquisitor and distract the Inquisitor while the rest of the team gets Sibo to safety. So that's what we're going to see now in this episode, is Kanan and Ezra going up against the Inquisitor. And the plan is pretty simple. Remember that asteroid? Remember that like moon base asteroid thing that Hera and Sabine discovered? They're going to use that. They're going to use the creatures on that to help them fight the Inquisitor. That's the plan anyway. So that's what we're going to see. The plan, when Kanan gets there, he needs Ezra to help him. They want to use the Force to control these creatures, to get these creatures to attack the Empire when the Empire arrives. And it works, right? And this is the first big instance we see of Ezra's connection with the living force, with animals, right? That's something we're going to see again and again and again in Star Wars Rebels, where Ezra has a special connection with animals and can really connect and focus on animals, whether they're on Lothal or whether they're on other planets as well. But he's got that special connection. So we're going to see them kind of spring this trap. Ezra is able to use the Force to kind of calm his mind and connect with these creatures. And when the Inquisitor arrives, he springs the trap. And the animals are going nuts. They're attacking stormtroopers. They're attacking the Inquisitor. I mean, they're giving the stormtroopers a heck of a time, but the Inquisitor is not really that impressed. And Kanan has to engage the Inquisitor in lightsaber combat. And just like last time, Kanan is going to be woefully, hilariously outmatched by the Inquisitor when it comes to lightsaber combat. I mean, Kanan really isn't that good of a swordsman compared to the Inquisitor. He's really going to struggle. And, I mean, he's going to struggle so bad that he's basically going to be beaten, and Ezra is going to have to rescue him. Now, Ezra picks up his Kanan's lightsaber, and Ezra is going to try to fight the Inquisitor with a lightsaber, but he's going to do even worse than Kanan does. He's going to do even worse, and the Inquisitor's taunting Ezra. He's like, I'm going to kill your master. I'm going to kill all your friends. I'm going to kill your master. You're going to die too. And that's just the way it's going to go, because you're not ready. He's not ready to train you, and you're not ready to be trained, right? He's taunting Ezra, and he knows what he's doing. He's trying to not just kill Kanan, but also kind of taunt Ezra towards the dark side. Because maybe he won't kill Ezra. Maybe he'll use Ezra as another apprentice, as another future Inquisitor. Maybe he'll do something like that. Or maybe he just wants to break this person before he, force them to go against what they believe in before he kills them. Who knows? He could be really nefarious. But he's kind of taunting Ezra towards the dark side, and Ezra decides, like, no, you're not going to hurt me. You're not going to hurt my friend. And he accidentally taps into the dark side of the Force and calls upon this gigantic, scary creature to fight against the Inquisitor. And it works, right? It buys them enough time to escape. Ezra he passes out from the effort, but Kanan is able to recover from his almost injuries. He's able to recover. He's able to run over, grab Ezra, get the heck out of Dodge, right? He recovers his lightsaber, all these things, and they get the heck out of there while the Inquisitor is dealing with this giant nightmare creature that Ezra has called upon using the dark side. And I love how they talk about it, because Ezra doesn't remember it, right? Ezra has no memory of what he's done, but he has called upon this creature, and Kanan, he knows. He's like, oh, you called on the dark side to do this, and that's not great, right? Kanan's pretty worried. He's like, you did something you weren't ready for. I pushed you into something you weren't ready for, and that put you at risk of doing this thing that you weren't ready for. So Kanan knows what he did, and this is going to be something he has to help Ezra resolve, because you can tell it really kind of makes Ezra just feel gross. He feels like sullen from this. So that's going to be something we see that's, again, pretty important moving forward. And again, it shows how powerful Ezra is and his potential in the Force, but how he isn't ready for a lot of things. So that's kind of how this episode ends. Well, we do get a little bit of a happy ending. Sabine gifts Ezra a hologram picture of his family that she was able to recover from his home. So Ezra gets that, even though he's so cold from using that dark side and not really remembering it, he gets to feel that warmth, that reminder of what he's doing and why he's doing it, right? So that's important. We get to see that from him. So that's kind of how the episode ends. It's a great couple of episodes. Like I said, kind of leading up to almost a mid-season finale, if I remember it right. We kind of had this mid-season finale coming up in episode 10 that we'll talk about next. And good episodes. They show a lot of growth for Ezra in the Force and a lot of growth for Kanan in the Force, but the next episode is even better. So stay tuned. That's going to be posted later on. Let me know if you guys have any questions. You have any thoughts about these episodes? Any questions about these episodes? Put your thoughts below in the comments. You can also follow me on Threads and Instagram at Jake Talks Star Wars. And that's it for today, guys. Thanks for coming by. Remember, take care of each other out there. And as always, may the Force be with you.